Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's being brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done to educate consumers, grow their practices, and to leave a legacy. I'm doing a series of spotlights on remarkable exit planning advisors and business intermediaries from across the country. And joining me on this segment, I'm honored to have John Leonetti. He's the founder of the International Exit Planning Association. John, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mark. Great to be here.
John, tell us a little bit about your work with the association and who are the types of folks that you help?
Great question. So in the marketplace, there are millions of business owners who have typically founded, grown, and run their privately held businesses. Through the pandemic, these folks were spotlighted through the PPP programs and really recognized for the job creators that they are. What we observed and what I personally experienced over the last 20, 25 years is that these business owners really don't know how to plan for the final act, so to speak, which is the exit from their business. So the mission and vision of the International Exit Planning Association is to help these business owners develop and execute on exit plans to help them monetize and transition their privately held business, and to do so in a way that precedes the actual sale or transaction. And that's the new world called exit planning. To fulfill this vision and mission, we train professional advisors and consultants on a system that was in my book called Exiting Your Business, Protecting Your Wealth. It came out in 2008. It has a 6-step process, and we certify these advisors as certified business exit consultants to help business owners out there with this type of work.
These business owners, it makes a lot of sense and a lot of people start a businesses from a passion of doing the work, and they don't often think about the exiting or what do I do when I'm done with the business. So tell me, what are the biggest concerns on their mind? They don't know what they don't know. What are they woefully unprepared for that you found?
Well, there's a series of things that typically occur with business owners that prevent them from succeeding with an exit. The first is they don't know what they don't know, which is what you said. Because exit planning is relatively new, they're just not aware that this service exists. Now, the challenges come because most business owners think selling their business will be a little bit like selling their house. They'll clean it up, they'll clean up the property, they'll put a paint job, maybe they'll replace a kitchen or a bathroom if the realtor suggests that. And they understand there's a tangible return there because they have comparable properties in their marketplace that they can determine value. However, with a privately held business, each one of them is like a snowflake. It's unique. The business is unique. It's a living and breathing thing. It's not a static piece of property. And to understand the different component parts of the business and what would somebody else be interested in and available to successfully run that business after the owner is a entire process and discussion. Some of the highlights of which, Mark, are that business owners typically, what we say, become anesthetized to the risk in their business. And because they don't see the risk because they've been living with it so long, they typically tend to overvalue the value of their business. And without some education and training about what the market would deliver for value, they typically fail on that point. That's the number one reason businesses don't successfully exit. And the number two is that the business doesn't perform well during a sale transaction because the owner is very distracted, and then it creates additional concerns with a potential buyer. And then we go down the list of about 15 other things that are important, from financials to management team to incentive and retention compensation to customer concentration to market niche to margin profile. And all of those elements together, what we call value drivers, add up to essentially be the gears in the engine of this business that help it run. Also, aside from the business, the owner wants to be personally ready and think through what they're going to do next, right? This is a very personal decision to exit a business. And the work that we do at the IEPA, the International Exit Planning Association, through our certified business exit consultants, is to bring a combination of both the business analysis and the personal analysis to answer questions for that owner, such as, can you afford to exit, right? What do you need to get out of the business? And then hopefully with enough time between the planning and the actual exit, the business consultant, the CBC, that certified business exit consultant through our program, can help improve the readiness of the company and the readiness of the owner. And if it all works out, the market's in good shape and they can have a successful exit.
I'd like to dig a little bit deeper into something you mentioned. One of the misconceptions you mentioned is people may think that they could sell a business like they would sell their home or their real estate. And like you know, comps in real estate are easy to find. Comps in business value are not quite public. So are there any other big myths or misconceptions? What would you say are maybe the biggest one or two myths or misconceptions that business owners may hold?
So I think the biggest one that we see, and it varies by the owner and the company and the size of the business, is that the owner believes that because the company is generating a lot of wealth that creates a great lifestyle for that owner, that almost anybody else would be interested in coming in and having that same lifestyle and having that same type of return, right? So the owner personalizes the experience that they get from the cash flow and the life that it allows them to lead, and tends to think, wow, wouldn't somebody else that steps in my shoes be really fortunate to take over what I've achieved here because I put so much together? And what that business owner is missing to a large extent is, number one, that business is probably highly dependent on that owner, right? They're probably underestimating what they actually do to have a successful business. And that's what we call transferable value. They're underestimating or overestimating transferable value of that business. The second thing that most business owners don't fully appreciate is there's an expectation, a quantitative expectation of what type of return they should be getting for running that business for the risk that it has. So for example, if I can invest in publicly traded stocks and bonds and make X%, whatever historic it is, usually single digit numbers, okay, let's say 10% in stocks over the long term for small company stocks, right? Then the return on investment in a privately held business, let's say that does $10 million in revenue, the owner is making $1 million and thinks, I make $1 million a year. This is a wonderful lifestyle. But they fail to sometimes connect the dot that for the level of risk they take, that business should be making maybe 1.5 or 2 million. So when buyers come in and they compare that business to what the returns are from other companies that are a similar size and risk profile, they actually see that that business is underperforming. And then owners get stuck in that mindset thinking, well, why would I want to sell for less when it provides so much to me? And the exit planning process is about thinking about how that business is going to survive beyond the owner. And many won't survive beyond the owner for all these reasons.
Great insight. My next question may or may not be linked to this past insight, but what would you say is like the number one or two biggest pitfalls that make the business unsellable?
Yeah. So it's very similar. A business owner, very similar to my first point. A business owner who personalizes the business and doesn't make attempts to professionalize it, doesn't think about what the next owner will need. If you think about a business and the profile of a business like a human body, the spine and the nervous system are the financials. The financials are the backbone of the company. Many smaller businesses operate on QuickBooks. They don't differentiate between cash and accrual accounting or pay attention to GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles, or they don't have the investment of time and money in an accounting firm to do audited or reviewed or even compiled financials, but yet they want to be paid maximum value by that next buyer. And they, for example, don't understand or don't appreciate that the numbers have to be strong, they have to be believable, and they have to be defendable, because there's also going to be a forecast into the future, because the buyer's most interested in what's going to happen tomorrow, not what happened yesterday. And if you don't have good numbers to support that as to why it's going to succeed in the future and to survive the scrutiny that a buyer has to put a company through, typically the business will fail there and the owner will be somewhat frustrated because they weren't able to communicate in the language of the buyer. Now, this is just on one point, right? There are many, many other points. So when we talk to business owners, when our certified business exit consultants talk to business owners, and they get into a conversation about a business exit or a business sale, the best approach is try to talk to that owner as if you're buying this company, right? As if you're representing the owner's thoughts and the buyer's thoughts and interests, so that you can communicate and help them bridge that gap between running that business as an individual, as a privately held company with the independence and freedom that comes with success, and connect that to what the market, the capital markets, the private capital markets need to allow capital to flow into that company. And there's a pretty substantial divide for many of these privately held businesses between what they think somebody should need and what is actually needed.
John, I'd love to know what inspired you to get into exit planning and what led you to start the International Exit Planning Association. Take us back a little bit.
Yeah, it's a good question, Mark. I started in a family business with my dad for 5, 6 years in my 20s. It was some time ago. So at the time, we were trying to figure out how the company would transition, and I was unable to find an advisor who could help us with this. And we went to the financial advisor for the company, and they had one solution that was specific to what they did. And we went to the CPA and they had some thoughts, and the estate planning attorney came in and said, well, we could set it up so that, when your dad passes, it'll pass to you, which is way, way off in the future, right, from where we were then. And I was just left with this idea that the marketplace was missing something. And so I started searching for it. And I graduated college. I went to law school. I got a master's in finance. And this curiosity stuck with me because even through the educational system, they weren't teaching private business finance or private business interests for the most part. Even the entrepreneurship programs, corporate finance is mostly around publicly traded companies, and that's where most of the formal education congregates. So as I went into higher levels of education and advanced my own education, I was still seeing even more of a gap. So I decided to write a book for business owners about exiting their business and build an association to support advisors and consultants that, like me, are looking for solutions to help these business owners and add value to this conversation. Because as a whole, these business owners are the backbone of the country. They're the folks that take the risk and create the jobs and make payroll and keep everybody employed and innovate. And every publicly traded company that's out there started as a small business that was able to grow and attract capital and take more market share and get their ideas out into the market through business. And our privately held businesses, most of them will not go public, the vast majority. We don't want to see them liquidate. So what are the options between liquidation and going public? Well, there's a defined set of options. And as I started to think these things through, I realized, maybe a book and a business to do this would really help the market. And, we're in our 15th year, so we're pretty proud to still be on point and on message. And we've helped thousands and thousands of business owners, and as well as thousands of advisors have these conversations and deliver these solutions. So it goes back to being in business with my dad and my observations of the world and seeing that there was a gap out there that could be filled.
John, for business owners listening who would love your help or would love to speak to one of your certified exit planners, how do they find you, connect with you, and learn more?
Great. So our organization, the International Exit Planning Association, can be found at www.imea, thiepa.com, thiepa.com. And on the website for the association, we list all of the certified business exit consultants that have completed our process. And part of that process is submitting an exit plan and becoming certified. So if you look up a CBEC or CBEC, as many of them call it, you know as a business owner that this person has passed what we consider the most rigorous standards and has completed at least an exit plan. And in most cases, they've done many, many exit plans. So we set the bar a little high. So when a business owner search out for a CBEC on our site, they have that confidence that this person has not only passed the test, but has done the practical work out there, and they can truly help you with your exit. So they can go to the IEPA.com. There's the copy of the Exiting Your Business book. It's on Amazon, and I think they can order it on the website if they just want to get started there. But all of our CBECs are certified on the process in the book. So we build that consistency into our training and our messaging to business owners about the 6-step process that the CBECs follow to help these business owners very systematically think about and execute on their exits.
John, this has been absolutely terrific. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to share with my audience today, and I wish you continued success for you and for your association and all of your clients.
Thanks, Mark. It was great to be here. Glad to share my thoughts and real happy that I was able to do it with you. Thanks for the insightful questions, and I hope this is helpful to your listeners.
That was John Leonetti. He's the founder of the International Exit Planning Association and the author of Exiting Your Business, Protecting Your Wealth. And this segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done to educate consumers, grow their practices, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.